Today, I want to share a story of my first ever professional shoot and the catastrophic mistake that I made. So it's late December 2015. I just got a new job. We're going into the winter Christmas break. And then my very first day on the job and after that break was to be flown out to Winnipeg to shoot a series of interviews at a Shoppers Drug Mart for their AGM conference. Now, this is my first time ever dealing with the Canon Cinema camera series, as well as a bunch of other gear that they had. Again, I'm a very amateur at this time. So I brought home all of the gear during that Christmas break, and every day I would set it up and tear it down just to make sure I can feel confident with it and not feel like an ass on set. So again, every day, set it up, tear it down, set it up, tear it down. And by the end of that Christmas break, I was feeling pretty good and pretty confident with handling that gear. So it's now January of 2016, very first day on the job. I go to the airport and I'm told that my flight gets upgraded to first class, which was amazing. What an experience. First time ever. And the one thing I remember about that was they were serving dinner and I got a piece of salmon and it was amazing. Like not even just for airport food, but it was like really, really good. And that just made me way more nervous because the juxtaposition of this being my first ever professional shoot and getting treated like a king, first class, good meal, being even flown out for your first ever shoot is pretty cool. I was feeling very nervous about that. So it's the shooting day, and I mean, really, there's nothing to talk about. The shooting day went fine until I got home and I looked at the footage and I realized that my lav microphone, which is something kind of like this that gets hooked on right there, and the shotgun microphone, which lives on the camera, were mixed together in one stereo channel of the recording, making that audio of all the interviews pretty atrocious, especially in an environment of a busy retail store like Shoppers Drug Mart. I was stressing. After a stern talking to from my bosses, well-deserved, we found an audio engineer and we salvaged it. And it's funny because if this were to happen to me today, like Adobe Speech Enhancer, for example, would have cleaned that up, no problem. And I'm sure there's other AI tools out there as well where very fixable. But back then, honestly, like nearly impossible. It was rough. So there's definitely some takeaways from this story. Especially if I can go back and do it again, which was during that Christmas break when I took home all the equipment to practice setting it up and tearing it down, I probably also should have included some test records with the audio so that I could have fixed it before the shoot. Like do my test record, grab that SD card, put it into my computer, play it back, and make sure everything is okay. I did not do that, and I paid the price for it. Another thing that I should have done was to double check the audio settings, even on the day of the shoot, before we started any of our recording and after everything was set up, still go through everything and make sure that everything is ready to press that record button. The process of growing through your professional career means that you always have to make mistakes, whether they are big or small. And the important thing is to make sure that you learn from them and to do everything in your power to never let them happen again. And I can happily say, since that incident, every single one of my shoots, especially interview shoots, have never been screwed up because I always have that incident in the back of my mind and double and triple check everything to make sure that I'm not going to screw up again. So I appreciate you watching and listening to this very embarrassing story of mine, and just to realize that, even the best of us have blown it at one point.